So there are so many places on the internet to help you become a successful photographer, but there are so many that it's hard to know where you should be posting and how you should be using those different platforms. I've spent weeks talking to my community and researching the best places for photographers online, and we're going to cover it in this video. We're going to talk about the upsides, the downsides, how you should be using them, and how you can make money. Let's start with some of the easy ones. Let's start with Twitter. Twitter doesn't really need much introduction, but for those who don't know what Twitter is, it is a place to share a kind of a text post up to 280 characters long with an image or links or video. Now, the benefits to photographers using Twitter is that images stay quite high resolution, especially when you compare it to Instagram. Multiple images can be shared at the same time, and the discovery system is really powerful. And you're reaching non-photographers as well as photographers, which is important to note. There is also a lot of conversation about NFTs and photography on Twitter, so if you're interested in that, Twitter is definitely the place to be. I would say to share final images, behind the scenes, share images of your edit process. You can use Twitter to connect with other photographers and communities, and you can have a lot of potential reach for non-photographers to help with print sales or building a following or community around what you're doing. What are the downsides to Twitter? Sometimes it can feel like you're kind of tweeting in the dark when you first get started. It almost feels like no one's listening. And in this case, don't underestimate the power of starting the conversation yourself. Jumping into other people's questions, asking people questions. You know, it really is a communication platform, so treat it like that. I'll be quick here. I'm presuming most of you know what Instagram is, but in a few short sentences, Instagram is an image and video sharing platform that has recently leaned further into video, making it a little harder for photographers and artists. But that doesn't stop it being probably the most powerful social media for photographers of them all, and we shouldn't forget that. It can be quite addictive, which isn't really respected enough, and when you put all of this together, it can have quite a negative impact on your attitude towards your own work. So why would you use it as a photographer? It is a great way to share the person behind your images, to connect directly with fans and customers. It's the perfect place to make announcements, discover other photographers, and sort of build a community around what you're doing. And in that regard, nothing comes close to the power of Instagram. Now, moving on, we have Instagram's big brother, or probably more like Instagram's dad. We have Facebook. Facebook is old faithful. In this section, we're going to be speaking specifically about like pages and groups, which is the main power behind Facebook right now. Some of the benefits of Facebook for photographers are that there are lots and lots of users, and many of these users are of a kind of an older generation and are willing to give content a little bit more time. People scroll much less aggressively on Facebook groups and take the time to sort of look at content in comparison to something like Instagram. The algorithm is generally quite consistent and predictable, again, compared to Instagram, and there are a few really great mechanisms for building pages. Along with that, Facebook groups can be a really great place to reach new people, have new conversations, educate yourself, and give feedback and give advice to other people as well. Some of the downsides of Facebook is that its interface is a little bit rubbish and it's kind of difficult to find your way around. It can be a bit toxic and it's not great for showing off a portfolio. So why would a photographer use Facebook? It's a great place to build a following, keep your followers kind of up to date, build a community, or reach people through group pages. And remember that you can post to many group pages from your kind of like page. So that makes it a little bit easier to build a community. Now, I want to make something clear, okay? Those last three are the ones that we all kind of know about, but don't approach them all equally, okay? Don't go into all three and say, I'm going to smash all of these, because you just won't. Pick one to be your kind of pillar, your main place that you post, and then let your content trickle onto the others. If you try and do all of the things all of the time, you will end up tired, burnt out, and you probably have a negative sort of experience of the whole thing. So the next one is 500px. 500px is a photography-first website and app with a pretty solid discovery system. What this means is that as a brand new user, so I made a new account, I uploaded around 6 images which were immediately seen by other photographers. One of them ended up in the popular section, meaning it was seen by even more. Now, from this little tiny experience, I didn't gain any followers, but the point is that I reached loads of people. And that means that it doesn't really matter that I gain followers or not, which shows a really good platform with a really good discovery system. To me, the main benefit of using 500px is that its performance as a kind of image hosting platform. The upload workflow is really simple and very quick to categorize and tag your images. So again, you're not leaving it to an algorithm to figure it out, you're telling it what it is. You can then easily sort these images into galleries. All of the camera settings are also shown, which you don't have to upload. This is metadata contained in the image. This is really helpful for educating yourself on other people's images and, people finding out how you're shooting yours. And the great thing from that is that you can explore other people's images based on the equipment that they use. So if you're looking for a new lens, you can just, search for that lens or click on that lens, and you can see loads of images shot on that lens, which is a really great thing. Now, you can also license your images through 500px and earn money if your images are accepted and are of the right type of photo that someone wants to use it. I don't have any experience of this, so if you do, please comment below. They also seem to be launching an NFT marketplace for photographers, which, if you're into that sort of thing, could be really good. So why would you use 500px? It's a great place to reach other photographers, to get inspired, to show off your work in high resolution. It's also a place to become known amongst photographers. You can seemingly kind of feature your own educational resources and sort of put them behind a paywall. So what doesn't it do? You likely won't reach non-photographers like you would on social media. So brand work, print sales won't necessarily apply here. But this is a good mix of beginners and pros, so there's potentially a really strong economy here, and as we've seen, there's no shortage of ways to sort of earn money on this platform. So the next one we're going to talk about is Pinterest. If you don't know what Pinterest is, it is a platform designed for creating like big, vast mood boards to kind of get inspired and record ideas. For example, if you're renovating your house, you can pin loads of images on the platform that you like so that you can quickly refer to those images or show them to someone else. Another example, if you're getting married, you could create a mood board of your dream wedding and your dream wedding photography, and there is a clue there as to the benefit of Pinterest for photographers. Probably the best way to explain this is with an example. So let's say you are a wedding photographer. You create a bunch of pins of your existing work, and then let's say, person X finds your pin and saves it to a board called Wedding Inspiration. So now you know that person X is getting married, very likely, and they already think that your image is inspiring and they want to show it to someone else. So now you could do a bit of research and find out if this person is in your area, or if you're a destination wedding photographer, that wouldn't matter. So it's probably time to introduce yourself and your services, not in like a really creepy way, like, hey, I saw that you pinned me. More just like, I noticed that you pinned one of my images. I'd be interested, do you have a photographer, or do you want to know more about it? That's one way. I don't use Pinterest this way personally, but I've heard that when it's used correctly for the right kind of photography, Pinterest can be incredibly powerful. It's worth noting here that search engine optimization is quite important. Think about what you're titling your images when you upload them. I'm not going to go into SEO right now, but just give it a Google. Who is this for? I would say lifestyle, product, wedding, portrait photographers are all going to do well on Pinterest. So if that's you, this is probably worth exploring. Are there any downsides to Pinterest? It is a very unique platform, so it can feel a little strange to newcomers. It still feels a little bit like that to me. Is it a gallery? Is it social media? The thing is, it's none of those things. It's Pinterest. If you want a more in-depth video on Pinterest, let me know in the comments. The next one we're going to talk about is Flickr. Flickr has been around since 2004, and it was one of the best and most well-known photography platforms on the internet. It used to be more popular than it is today, and I introduced it that way because it has a lot in common with 500px, which came out about 5 years later. And I kind of wanted to credit Flickr before saying that 500px feels like what I wish Flickr was. Having said that, there are things that Flickr is really good for. It's good for hosting lots and lots of high-resolution images that can be organized into galleries. You can see all of the information about the photo that you would like the camera, the lens, and the camera settings and things like that, just like on 500px. The native gallery, just straight out of the box, looks really good and professional, so this could be a standalone portfolio, no problem. One of my favorite features of Flickr, strangely enough, is the download button. If you click the download button, you can download the image in various different resolutions, which can be really handy, especially if you're sending your images to like a web designer or something like that. What are the downsides of Flickr? Like 500px, you won't likely reach many non-photographers. And I suppose another downside is that while it's very similar place to 500px, it doesn't have quite as many features. But that's no reason you can't use both. So why would you use Flickr? A great way to host your images in an organized way, in a way that looks good, and a way to discover new photographers and get inspired and learn more about the gear and the images that other photographers are taking. Vero. Vero is one that has been puzzling me for a few weeks. It's reasonably new and it seems like a really interesting platform. I'm a complete noob on the platform, and in fact, I only downloaded it for the purposes of research. It is a social media, so it's not just for photos, but it does have all types of media on there. They seem to be sort of very strong with their message true social, to the point where when I first posted, I couldn't really reach anyone because I hadn't made any friends or acquaintances. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. That just means that I don't know how to use it, and I'll sort of admit to that. Now, I know that there are people who watch this channel who are users of Vero, so I'd be really interested for you to comment below what you think the platform is like for photography. But there are some really big photographers on there with some big followings, which shows that there are a lot of users on the platform that are interested in photography. What I will say is that if you want to go somewhere where there aren't lots and lots of people and it's not saturated, maybe give Vero a look. And also, it might not be called Vero, it might be called Vero. Don't know. Next platform, I have to give this platform a mention. It's YouTube. Clearly, it's not a photography platform. However, me as a photographer, I get huge value out of YouTube. When I say that, I mean selling prints, selling presets, and getting work through the platform. So this is definitely a place that photographers should consider. You know, YouTube is a video sharing platform. However, you know, you can actually share images through the community tab, but you're not going to build a subscriber base through that. But the thing to remember with YouTube, if you're just getting started, is that it is one of the most powerful search engines on the platform, to the point where if your video is bang on, it will show at the top of Google if you got it all right. You know, it has one of the best recommendation systems on the planet. In fact, it's possible that you are watching this video and me for the very first time because YouTube thought that you would find it useful, and I hope you do. And if that is the case, I would recommend hitting the subscribe button, because I'm sure that you will find my other videos useful as well. Why would a photographer use it? To share sort of free educational videos, behind the scenes stuff to your photography. You can use it to drive print sales, sharing the story behind an image. I honestly think that everyone should have a go at exploring YouTube from a creator point of view. As I said, it's a search engine, and a tool that really helped me get started in terms of getting my videos into search is TubeBuddy. It's great for sort of getting your video into search results and giving you a really good perspective on that. I'll leave an affiliate link in the description for that one, but it's really powerful if you're getting started on YouTube. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is not a platform, it is your personal website. Most serious photographers should have, in fact, all serious photographers should have their own personal website. If you haven't figured out what you want to do with your photography, I would personally hold off and use a gallery as your portfolio, one of the ones that we talked about before. A personal website, though, is everything. It's the cornerstone to your project. It's the reason you are on social media as a photographer. It's a place that you can have a definitive portfolio that almost no one can take away from you and you have full control of. It probably takes a little bit more time and skill to set up, but only marginally more than many other social media. So why would a photographer use a personal website? It's a place to share images exactly how you want them to look. You know, it looks professional. You can have your own email address with your website at the end of it. You can host a blog and talk about your passion while helping with SEO to drive clicks from search engines to your photography. The downside is that with the personal website, without any other social media or marketing, it can sort of be a bit dead and no one's going to necessarily click through. But having that personal website makes the hard work on all the other platforms worth the effort. Now, in terms of where to build your own personal website, mine is currently built on Squarespace, and this is probably about to sound like an advert. It's not. I'm not sponsored by Squarespace. However, I do think Squarespace is a pretty good option for photographers. Now, as I said, I'm not sponsored by Squarespace, but a lot of creators are, and it's a great way to support your favorite creators. So, you know, go to your favorite creator, click on their affiliate link. And in fact, I'm going to recommend someone, Henry Turner, a great hardworking landscape photographer and fellow YouTuber. He has a Squarespace link, so I'll leave his link in the description, or you could just go watch one of his videos and click his link. The next platform is TikTok, and I know that many of you hate this platform and some of you probably enjoy this platform. But let's just hop in our time machine, okay? Let's go back to 2012 and listen carefully. You will hear people saying, I don't like Instagram, it's just pictures of people's dinner. Meanwhile, at this time, a handful of photographers are starting to share some really good work on this platform, and in a few years, they're going to blow up and start a completely different type of photography career. So let's circle back to 2020. What are people saying? I don't like TikToks, it's just people dancing and stuff. Okay, meanwhile, some photographers are doing great and probably starting to build a career on it. Now, even if it drives a few extra clicks to your personal website, which you may have by now, it's probably worth posting something. I'm not a pro on TikTok. In fact, I feel like a proper old person on TikTok, and I'm not even that old. So why would a photographer use TikTok? Similar reasons to Instagram, really. Make use of that really powerful discovery system. You could share tips behind the scenes, useful stuff, and give people a place to get to know you better as a photographer, and then point them to somewhere where you are going to get value from. The downside to TikTok, it is just another platform where you are doing something that isn't taking photos, but it can be very powerful. Now, the next platform is Foundation. Forgive me here if my terminology is a little off. I'm intentionally not on the inside of this one. Foundation is an NFT marketplace or non-fungible token marketplace. There are many of these, but I'm going to talk about this one because it's where I see most of the photographers that I follow put their work. Right now, Foundation is an invite-only platform where you can mint and sell your images as NFTs. To mint something means you upload your artwork to a decentralized peer-to-peer storage network, apparently. Once minted, which I understand has a cost attached to it, which are called gas fees, again, as I understand, you can put your NFT up for auction and it will be sold for Ethereum, which is a cryptocurrency. And this then just works like any other sort of auction site. The interesting thing here is, unlike a normal auction, if your NFT is sold and then that person sells it again, you get a small portion of the fee again, and this happens perpetually. And as a result of this happening, this means there's not just financial benefit in selling your own work, but in buying something and selling it. And it's at this point where it stops becoming a platform for just artists and photographers, and it's more a platform kind of about investment, in my opinion. Now, it has made big news in the photography community recently because some people have made a lot of money selling their work. However, there is an environmental argument against NFTs, which I think is valid, but this video is probably not the best place to dive into it because it's already about 30 minutes long at this point. So why would you use this platform? I guess the only real reason is to make money by selling your work. However, the NFT community is very broad and seemingly positive. So by becoming part of the community, you're kind of becoming part of a group of people who, you know, look after each other, it seems. When I say it's seemingly positive, it's positive, but I think it's positive in the same way that LinkedIn is a positive social media platform. Anyway, any downsides from NFTs? I guess you could sink a bit of money into uploading content and it not selling. That's a downside. I think another thing that is potentially a downside is that the sort of NFT world does seem to consume people and it becomes very much their online presence. And as someone from the outside, it's very difficult to understand how something can become so much a part of you. However, as a YouTuber, maybe I can understand. Okay, Behance, if that's how you say it, I've never known how to say this, is Adobe's online portfolio with sort of social elements. It's a platform full of professionals sharing pretty high-end work where you can sort of see your likes and your views and sort of message and follow other creators. As with 500px, they seem to be jumping on the kind of NFT bandwagon. So if that interests you, this space is somewhere to look at. So why would a photographer use it? It seems like a great place to connect with other photographers and sort of share your work in the form of galleries. And because it's Adobe, it does carry a certain professionalism to it. So it's pretty well integrated to their other platforms as well, which sort of leads me on to the next platform, which is Lightroom. Now, Lightroom CC has a pretty cool social system that has something that none of the others have, that is really good for photographers. If you don't know what Lightroom is, it's a piece of professional software used widely by photographers, and the CC version of this syncs your images to the cloud so you can edit on desktop, tablet, mobile, you know, all the places. But all that to one side, it has a discover section to it where you can reach other photographers and you can see their edit process directly in the software, and you can like and follow other photographers and their work. So when you hover over an image, it shows you the edit and the unedited version, and when you click through, you can kind of watch a time lapse of the images being edited. And on some of these, you can actually save that edit as a preset. This used to be something on all of them, but they've kind of stamped that down a little bit. And a super powerful element of this is that you can now remix or kind of re-edit someone else's image. This is a great way to learn images that you don't normally have access to. So if for example, you live in a place where there's never any snow and you want to edit some snow shots, you can edit someone else's very, very quickly directly in the software. And all of this means that if you share your own images in this way, other people can kind of edit your work, and it's a great way to kind of build connections and learn and teach and kind of just build a community around what you're doing. It's a great part of the whole picture. As I said before, this does seem to be connected to Adobe's Behance sort of thing, as I seem to have 133 followers and some likes on Behance, but these people are actually done it in Lightroom, and I can't find any of my Lightroom work on Behance. So I guess there is a downside, even for someone who is generally pretty good with these things from a user experience. It's slightly confusing. Another downside is that Lightroom has a monthly subscription, but in my opinion, it's very much worth it if you haven't already, chosen your software. But did I miss any? Let me know in the comments which ones are you using, and drop your usernames below so that we can all connect with each other on all these different platforms. I will leave my own links to all of the platforms in the description, so definitely come and say hi. And if you enjoyed this video, you will very likely enjoy my other videos. I will leave a few on the screen right now for you to check out. And if you hit that subscribe button, I will see you in the next video. Have fun on the internet.